For a while now, political commentators such as Douglas Murray and me have warned that the relatively sudden and rapid influx of people from the Muslim world could change our country. Some think that Islam will be the biggest religion in Britain as soon as 2050, with obvious consequences for our society. I mean, look what happened to Lebanon as it shifted from Christian to Muslim majority. It didn't go too smoothly. This week in Britain, we've seen the police tearing down posters of kidnapped Jewish children, leading chants calling for the extermination of Israel, and making excuses for jihadis. War memorials like Rochdale Cenotaph defaced. I mean, to be fair, it's not the worst thing a pro-Palestinian person has done in Rochdale. Antisemitic mobs threatening to disrupt Remembrance Sunday, and anyone who opposes them smeared as far-right yobs. It's like Opposites Day. British people told to put away their British flags in case it offends people waving Palestinian flags. The Anne Frank kindergarten renamed, which ironically will make it harder to find, to avoid offending Muslims. Hamas leaders given council houses in London, British mosques calling for infidels to be destroyed, and a new political party of Islam in Britain. If an anti-immigration politician in 1970 had said that this would be the state of Britain in 2023, he or she, women can be visionaries too, would have been denounced as a ludicrous alarmist. But this is where we are. The Israel protests have exposed the influence of Islamism in our police, government, media and society. And with Labour looking likely to take power in 2024, it's not going to get any better. Let's start with the police. British police are usually pretty firm with protesters. Remember lockdown protests when the police had no problem beating old women to the ground? Or when they arrested a woman for standing on a pavement praying silently in her head, the literal definition of a thought crime.
Praying?
I might be praying in my head. Out loud.
Okay, well then you're under arrest on suspicion of failing to comply with the Public Spaces Protection Order.
Even the Sarah Everard vigil was broken up by police. No! But when it comes to mobs of anti-Israel protests chanting for the extermination of Jews, the police are remarkably accommodating. They've excused calls for jihad, saying the word has a number of meanings. And in this context, that number is 1. It means a holy war against the enemies of Islam. But the Met insist that jihad could mean an inner struggle for self-improvement, like the mob is calling for Muslims to rise up and learn crochet. And amid the anti-Israel marches, a poppy seller was punched. When I say poppy seller, I don't mean an Afghan farmer. This was a 78-year-old army veteran selling red poppies to raise money for soldiers who gave their bodies and minds to defend this country. This happened in Edinburgh, despite Scottish people usually being a fan of poppy products. Maybe they got angry when they found out that these ones couldn't be heated up in a spoon and injected. The veteran Jim Henderson said that when the throng of anti-Israel protesters swarmed around him, he bent down to collect the money. Hey, it's not the first time someone in Edinburgh has bent down to pick up some coins, and he was kicked and punched by protesters and had to be rescued by station staff. Police investigated but conveniently didn't find enough evidence. I'm surprised they didn't arrest the veteran for hate crime when the people punching him complained they had sore knuckles. Listen, I'm not saying it definitely happened. Maybe he was just jostled, but 78-year-olds shouldn't be jostled, even if they are selling poppies. And there's plenty of evidence of poppy sellers being disrespected and the police doing nothing. Why do woke people hate the poppy so much? The Royal Legion even made a paper poppy this year to appease any eco-warrior types worried that all this plastic is going to get stuck in a turtle's blowhole or something. I can understand poppies being triggering to Afghan immigrants who've been stopped growing them by the Taliban, but skinny little they-thems need to understand that our military is the one thing stopping them being hunted for meat by Vikings. The police also allowed historic monuments to be climbed on by people cosplaying as terrorists and war memorials to be desecrated. It's much scarier arresting a mob of Islamists than a little lady who's silently praying, I guess. Police are walking on eggshells around the anti-Israel mobs like a battered wife tiptoeing around an abusive husband. Ooh, I'd better not make him angry, better not put bacon in the tuna casserole. Actually, you better not put bacon in the tuna casserole. Bacon would be a hate crime in this instance. And the police were even seen cozying up to the protesters with a Met police officer fist bumping an anti-Israel protester. Man, don't fist bump, you're a police officer. You look like a dad in skinny jeans trying to be cool with his son's friends. Hey guys, what about that Stormzy? Is he bloody cool or what? Worse, the police themselves are leading some of the most nefarious elements of the march. Atiq Malik, who's a chair of a Met Police Advisory Board, or he was anyway till he got found out, led the chants of From the River to the Sea, which calls for the extermination of Jews.
From the river to the sea! From the river to the sea!
No wonder the Met think that calling for jihad is alright if these are the people advising them, and despite the police trying to reduce Islamophobia, their embrace of radical Islamists reflects terribly on the majority of British Muslims who just want to get along with everyone. It's not just the police, the Crown Prosecution Service also harbour nefarious anti-Semites. Mohammed Kosbar is a prominent mosque chairman who praised the founder of Hamas. He's also been advising the CPS as part of a scrutiny panel on hate crime. This shows that hate crime regulations aren't about stopping hate at all. They're about enabling certain kinds of hate while labelling valid behaviour as hateful so that the state can shut it down. It's all about pushing a political agenda, which was perfectly demonstrated by the police tearing down posters of kidnapped Israeli children in case, in their words, it escalates a tense situation and offends the Muslim community. Luckily, nobody's offended by pro-Hamas chants, eh? And this police staffer, Amina Ahmed, who works in counter-terrorism, says that anyone supporting Israel should be labelled an extremist Islamophobe, inciting hatred against Muslims. We're seeing the weaponisation of hate crime laws by the state. But anyone displaying a British flag is in trouble, and the police are remarkably candid about the reason here.
And yet when they march down with hundreds of Palestinian flags, you won't say a word.
One just went past banging out of the car. You never see fuck all.
There's way more of them than there is of us.
There's way more of them than there are of us. It doesn't bode well for when there actually are more of them than us at a national level. To illustrate the two-tier policing, one man was even arrested for standing in an empty high street asking why so many Palestinian flags were there.
The reasons why we did this is on the 17th of the 10th of 2023 on Bethel Green Road at 10:04. You were witnesses saying, obviously, people, why are they over here, etc., we let them into our country, etc.
So, big deal.
Yeah, okay.
So, big deal.
After a month of anti-Israel protests on Armistice Day, traditional Brits, by which I mean the ones who don't wear keffiyehs, turned up and the police suddenly rediscovered their ability to arrest protesters for chanting hate speech such as "England till I die." I don't know what the final count will be, but as of 6 PM it's nearly 100. It looks like they were lured into a trap. The Met Police fall under the leadership of Sadiq Khan, who's a Muslim. Now, I'm not saying that the Met Police are siding with Palestinian protests because the person calling the shots is a Muslim, but they are, and he is. I'll look at how our politicians are reacting in a moment, but first let's look at the mainstream media. Seriously, they need the attention. Nobody watches them anymore. That's all YouTube will let me show, but you can see the rest of this video for free on my Patreon. There's a link below.